Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this week's episode on the podcast. Today I'm joined with Vanessa, and we're going to be speaking about autism, and she's going to be speaking about her autism, of course. But yeah, it's going to be really cool. So Vanessa, would you mind just doing a little brief introduction of yourself?
Yeah, I'm Vanessa, I think you said. I'm 25, or not 25, I'm actually 24. I'm gonna be 25 in a month or so. Um, I'm currently a low intensity CBT therapist, and I guess what else do I say? My special interest is adventure time. But yeah, I'm autistic, so yeah, it's pretty brilliant.
Yeah, it is brilliant, isn't
Yeah. Yeah.
it? Yeah. Um, yeah. Happy birthday though for in a month's time.
Yeah, it's literally May the 19th. I don't know why I said a month's time. It's literally a couple of months. But yeah, it's ages away to be fair. Like two
Yeah.
months, 3 months, 3 months. Yeah, 3 months.
Oh, it's crazy. It's even that because I can't
Yeah.
believe the year's gone so fast already.
So fast. February's gonna be over, and then we're gonna have March. So yeah,
Yeah, it'll be Christmas soon. Soon.
yeah,
Yeah,
literally, it's speeding through.
yeah. But yeah. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Three months in hand. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, my birthday's in September. Um,
Oh, you have a bit of a
yeah,
time to go.
yeah,
Happy birthday for them too.
yeah. I like it then though because oh, thank you. I like it then because it's not too early in the year, not too late.
True. It's not a bad time.
Yeah. But so with your autism, Vanessa, when was you diagnosed?
I was diagnosed maybe 4 years ago, so like when I was 20. So I found out really late in comparison to most people. But I literally found out kind of not by accident, but my psychotherapist at the time kind of said, "Oh, you potentially could be autistic." And I thought, "Oh, that's interesting," because I had never really thought about that before. Because I think I studied neuroscience at the time, so my perspective on autism was very like textbook answer, and I didn't know whether I like fit that mold. Then I went off to go to a neuropsychologist, and she did the test on me. And then by the end of it, she's like, "Yeah, you're definitely autistic." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." It was like a nice surprise. So yeah, I've been diagnosed for 4, 5 years now.
Yeah. And were you relieved when you was diagnosed then?
Yeah, absolutely. At first, I was scared because I think in my head it was like, whoa, this is like something completely new that I didn't really think about because I was so used to like the labels of like depression, anxiety, or like she's quirky, she's weird. So I didn't know that that was a possibility for me because I think most times when I thought about autism, I think about like the very stereotypical people because mainly people would only talk about stereotypes. So I think once I understood that it's for everyone or anyone, I was like, oh, this is great because then it just made sense that I wasn't weird. I was just a little bit different, which was pretty cool. And now I love it. Like I'm living my dreams with that. I love it. But at that point, I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. I think it's
Mm.
it's very interesting when you do get diagnosed because you're either you're relieved or you're not. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I guess it's dependent of how old you are. Um,
Yeah.
I think so. If you're like 20, you're probably a bit more. You're not old, but you're old enough to understand maybe what
Yeah.
it is. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely old enough to know like what. Yeah, definitely.
But when I was diagnosed, I didn't know anything about it.
When were you diagnosed?
I was diagnosed when I was 9. Um,
Okay.
um, and I remember going for tests and stuff, but when I was diagnosed, it was very different back then. Because a lot of people would be really judgmental, like at school and
Mhm.
stuff. Um, and like back then, it wasn't very nice. Like if
Mm.
you have autism, you're dumb and stuff like that.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
um, that's what everyone thought when you had autism.
Yeah.
Back then, but now um, in 2020, I think when I decided to talk about it more and because
Mm.
because sometimes it may feel like autism is just like you've got it, like that's it, but there's so
Yeah.
much more to it to
Oh,
autism.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I agree with you. I think your experience is a little bit different to mine in the sense that people weren't picking on me at school because I was autistic because they didn't know. But I feel like what I feel like in my heart was everybody had an idea that I was different. I think I was the only one in the room who didn't know. So I think people used to like tease me and stuff and like say like they used to call me like disabled or they call me the R word. They call me so many words. But of course, at that time, I didn't know that that was what I was, or like I didn't know that I had a disability. So for me, it was like it's a bit foreign. Like I don't know why everyone's being so mean. So I experienced bullying. I just didn't know why I was being bullied. So when I did find out I was autistic, I was like, oh, you're making fun of me because I'm different to you and because you're a loser. Really, that's what it is. But yeah, I can definitely get it. Like people can be really horrid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. It's a shame that people are that way.
it is. Yeah. But I mean, I think it's like I don't know. Unfortunately, it's part of life. You kind of have to just be like, okay, cool. They're just ignorant and move past it. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie and say I haven't been annoyed about it or been like, oh, that's annoying, or why would they say that? But I think yeah, it's just been a part of the experience.
Yeah.
In essence.
Because you find with bullying in school, and not just in school, it could be anywhere. Like if you act out, you'll be the one in trouble, not the bully.
Yes, absolutely. You're not allowed to say anything. Like, I think the one time I did fight back, all of a sudden I was like, oh, why would you do that, Vanessa? Like, you should have just told a teacher. And it's like, what do you mean tell a teacher? I tried to tell teachers, no one listened to me. So now I'm trying to like fight for myself. And when you do fight for yourself, I guess it's not neurotypical enough. So you get branded like really strange or like you're not doing things right, or etc. But it's like that was the only way I knew how to fight for myself, whether it's like yelling, whether it's stimming. That's all I knew to do. So to then be told like, oh, we're going to take you out of class and stuff. I was like, take me out of class. I've been bullied for the last 5 years. Like, maybe let's think about who to take out of class. So I completely get that. Most times you don't even want to stand up because your reaction isn't neurotypical enough. It's not normal enough
Mm.
for people to understand, which I guess was pretty annoying. I mean, even though it happened years ago, I'm still definitely annoyed about it because it's like, why would you let that happen? I guess. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
It's not good.
no.
It's not good because I primary school was like years ago for me. Like
Mm.
it's like a baby. But I just remember getting bullied there, and I remember going to the teachers, and the two people who did bully me got a or timeout, they used to call it. And they got a timeout, and I thought, okay, that's sorted then. They're going to be in
Mm.
trouble now. And then they're out the next day or so, and they continue what they're doing. And then it got to a stage where I did act out because I was so annoyed all the time. You know, like the bully would just push you in the playground all the time and
Mm.
spit at you and do horrible things. And then
Mm.
I always got told like if someone would fight you, they would deserve the same. Not that like a fight a press fight. It's just a fight where they're just being horrible to you all the time.
Yeah.
And my reaction was I knew what was going to happen. I knew it, but I just wanted to do it just to let my frustrations out. So
Mm.
I pushed them, not even much. Um, and then they run to the MDA staff and then I'm doing the same. And then
Mm.
it's my word against theirs, and they did something to my fist, so I had something to say as well. So it just
Mm.
and then it went that it's something really silly that goes to the head teacher. Just didn't really need to,
Yeah.
because the MD asked like the MDA was like, let's go to the head teacher of the school, and something you don't need to do that.
Definitely not necessary.
Then the head teacher says, you both need to apologise, otherwise you're being kicked out, like for a day or so. And I didn't
Mm.
want to do it. And I think
Yeah.
my mum got called into the school, I think, at this time. And I had to say sorry. I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I
Oh, I
did.
completely get that.
I did to stay in the school, not to say
Yeah.
I was sorry, but I did
Mm.
to not leave. But that I don't think things have changed.
No, I don't think
Oh,
it's change either. Because when I was in secondary school, it was generally the same. It was like, the teachers will say, "Yeah, I apologize," and I'm thinking, but what am I saying sorry for? Because if I remembered, I told you that something happened and you didn't take me seriously, and I let you know it was gonna go left, and you still didn't take me seriously. And now I guess I think for me, I didn't. I think because I was in secondary school, it's guess people don't people do hit and punch, but it's not as like in primary school, when you're younger, you kind of just lash out in terms of like, even when you're not neurotypical, I mean, not neurodiverse, sorry, you can just do things. But when you're in like high school, people take it a lot more seriously when you do. So I think my reaction was always to be like, okay, I got to get something away. So I think someone was like yelling and screaming at me. I think I picked up a chair and I was like, just leave me alone. And I guess to everyone else, that was a massive reaction. But for me, I was like, oh, this is a match reaction. Like, you're bullying me. I'm taking a chair. Like, this is normal stuff. And then by the end of it, you get told, yeah, Vanessa, you have to apologize. Because if you don't apologize, that's going to be on your record. And I'm thinking, but I thought I was just standing up for myself. So I completely get that. And I think it's annoying because it always does get taken to like the head teacher. And you're thinking, we didn't have to take it that far. You could have just told them that they were wrong and told me that I was right. And that would have been fine. I would have been absolutely fine with that. I would have taken it on the chin that, okay, don't take a chair to someone. But I mean, yeah.
So I think sometimes you question like teachers sometimes are they in the right job sometimes
Yeah.
because they don't do anything.
Yeah. They do nothing at all. Like they just watch it happen. Or I think they take it. I think I had a teacher actually tell me, like, she said to me, you that something bad's happening in school, then what's the point of talking to you? And then when it does get really bad, they say you should always come to your teachers about problems. But it's like, well, when I spoke to you about the problems, you told me they were too little, and now that's gotten too big. You're telling me I should have told you before. And it's like, where do you leave a child? Like it really makes you quite repressed, and like my anger became really repressed, and I don't really know what to like really do with it. And you don't want to tell your parents because teachers have told you that it's really small, and they start using words like you're a snitch or you're a tattletale, and it's like you told me in assembly that when someone bullies you to speak up about it. I'm speaking up, you're telling me it's wrong. So I think high school was definitely a weird experience in terms of like the socializing part. Not, I wasn't a fan of that at all. It was not great. I had like a few friends who I'm still friends with now, but it wasn't the greatest of experiences, if I'm honest. It wasn't fun at all.
Yeah, it's not friendly. We find when we're at school we have those few friends and then we don't talk to them anymore once we
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have like that one or two friends. You might have that one best friend you had for years, and then once you leave high school, they're not your friends anymore. Or you might have like maybe two friends, because I have two gal pals who like them, like my sisters, and we've been friends for years. But that was really it. Like I came out of the school and kind of just had like not a vendetta, but I kind of was just like, forget this. Like, I'm never gonna forget you guys, kind of thing. That was the vibe I kind of took out of it. It was like, yeah, I'm never gonna forget your face. I'm always gonna remember what took place. But of course, therapy and etc. does help with that, like, understanding things and stuff. But once I first left, I was like, oh, I'm gonna remember this. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely an interesting experience.
It is. It is very interesting because everywhere is so different. Like that you go
Mm,
to, um, it can
absolutely.
be it can be workplace, it can be school, it
Yeah.
can be anywhere. And like some people don't know anything about
Yeah.
autism, and some people do.
Yeah.
It's,
And that's
it's
another annoying thing, because you think that as the years go on, people become more educated about it. Like, I don't know how many times, like, I'll say, oh, I'm autistic. And then, like, I'll list the things that, like, how that looks for me. And then you'll have people say, oh, well, you don't look autistic. You don't talk autistic. You don't walk autistic. I'm like, first of all, that's not a thing. And second of all, I've just told you the adjustments that I need for me. And let's just go with that. Like, there shouldn't be any issues. There shouldn't be any fuss. But most times people don't take it seriously, or they just act really oblivious to it all the time. So most times I'm sitting there like, well, what was the point of saying I was autistic if you weren't actually gonna make it any easier for me, if that makes sense? Almost it feels like it's gotten worse now because you don't understand it, and you won't take the time to even Google it. So now I'm sitting here like, well, I've told you a massive secret and you've done nothing with it. Um, which is foul.
Yeah, because we all know when you tell a teacher something that they can't do it because it can't stay between us. Like
Mm,
like if you say something that you're shy to say, and
mm,
you'll say, "Can that stay between me and you?"
mm,
And they'll be like, "No, I can't. I have to
yeah.
tell another person." And
Yep.
I think sometimes because they have their staff meetings in their room, and I think what they do is what happens in the day probably controversial stuff that they not shouldn't say. They'll blurt it
Mm,
out in the staff room,
yep.
and then all the teachers will probably have opinions on you that aren't good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's so right. Like that's exactly what it is. And even in workplaces, it's all the same, isn't it? Like people take things to staff room and they'll have a little gossip about you. And like literally what you said, like sometimes you go to a teacher in confidence, like, hey, I really don't want you to tell anyone about this. Like, and you build that trust with them. And then they go and tell the whole entire, basically all these teachers. And now teachers are looking at you funny while you walk down the corridor, or teachers are kind of like, like asking you a few more questions that they might not have asked before, or just being a bit weird. And it's like, I spoke to you in confidence, and I do understand, of course, like now that I'm a therapist, and like I understand like there are safeguarding issues and stuff, and I completely get that. But I think sometimes it should be explained like what's going on. So if I say to a teacher like, "Hey, this has happened," and they say to me, "Well, I can't keep that to myself," like tell me why you can't keep it to yourself, because I'm sat there thinking, okay, well, she's gone off with my secret. It's just between us two. But then to then find out other people know, it's like, oh well, it wasn't actually between us two. So maybe just communicate, I think, a bit more. I think that bridges the gap a lot for, I mean, I can't speak for all autistic people, but definitely for me, like speak to me directly, like let me know what's going on. Like don't leave me in the dark. Because a lot of times I feel like, other than the fact that social cues don't work for me, so that's, I already feel like I'm in the dark anyways. But if I am having a conversation with you, just articulate to me so I know what's going on. Really, I don't think that's too hard if you ask me. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it is just something that goes around a lot. Um,
Mm,
but like with your autism, so what? Because there's so much things in autism that affect
mm.
everyone differently. Like, is there anything that you would say that affects you? Like with your autism, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I guess what you said, like everyone has different sensory needs. So I think I when I got diagnosed, they would have called me high functioning. I put that in air quotes because I just feel like that's just a label, that's just BS, really. Because what does that even mean? So I was like at that point, and I'm gonna say a word that is not socially acceptable now, but at that point they would have told me I had Asperger's, and I thought, okay, that's interesting. Never like I didn't know that that was a thing for me. And that was what I was told at the point. And I guess I kind of learned what my differences were. And I think one of my biggest things was just light. I couldn't deal with lights very well, couldn't deal with sounds very well. I couldn't deal with certain touches and certain smells. So now as a 24-year-old, I'm still the same. I can't deal with like massively bright lights. I can't deal with like too much, not in a bad way, but I can't deal with too much talking. Like, not, I love to talk and I love to have conversations, but
Mm.
sometimes I get to a point where I'm quite overstimulated, and having someone like yapping to me, I just get really snappy. So I think that's something I've learned is something I have an issue with, or being in like crowded spaces or in certain places is where I'd say that I'm like it's less inviting or less beneficial for me to be there, if that makes sense. I think light was definitely one of the biggest sensory problems for me. I think with most autistic people, we have like the social cues might be an issue, but I think for me, they still are an issue. I think I was just really good at masking them, if that makes sense. So like I would say like I'm an actress. Like I really was good at like just socializing with everyone at the pace that they do. Now I'm like living my life trying to unmask a bit more. So like if I don't want to talk, I don't want to talk. Or if I don't want to be in a bright room, I won't be in a bright room. Or if someone's being too noisy, I just be like, can you like pipe down? Or like if something smells bad, I'll be like, that smells foul. Like I'm just being more expressive rather than like trying my best to be neurotypical, if that makes sense. But I think yeah, a few things have impacted me. Definitely sensory stuff and lack of understanding social cues. But I'm learning. Writing things down as we go along. So I'm learning.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. That is great. Like it's really interesting because we all experience it in a different way, sometimes
Mm.
similar. Um, for me, I don't like noise, like particular noise.
Mm.
So like alarms, people eating, making too much noise,
Oh,
um, and sometimes people do it on purpose.
I do.
Um, yeah. Yeah, there's I I'm quite sensitive as well, so I will I normally will have something to fiddle with if I'm
Mm.
doing something like this, but
Mm.
it's all broke now.
I literally have like this squishy thing
Yeah,
that I have to fiddle with. So
yeah, something like
definitely
that.
with you there.
I I I
Yeah.
I I had it, but I teared it all apart.
Oh no,
I got some more in the
gonna need a
room.
new one.
Yeah. But yeah, so that affects me. Like noise. People, but the thing is, I'll be into. I don't like people eating, but if loads of people eat at the same time, be right, because
Yeah, I get that.
it's different.
Like, yeah, I get that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
get it.
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. And then other people, but maybe don't understand, may not get it, and they'll be like, "Well,
Mm.
he's eating. If you
Yeah.
can do that, why can't you cope with someone just eating?
Mm.
Because like the eating I'm talking about is like maybe three people in a room or something,
Mhm.
compared to maybe more.
I get that. I get that.
Yeah, so that is annoying.
It is annoying.
Um,
I agree with you
yeah,
there.
yeah. But it's interesting with the lights because well, I used to do something. I don't do it anymore, but I used to, where you flick the light on and off numerous amount of times.
Mm-mm.
Um, I don't know if that's part of my autism, but I don't do it anymore. But I used to, especially when I was younger, when I was diagnosed. Um,
Mm.
but it's interesting that we do these things. because of our autism maybe
Yeah.
impacts that.
Yeah, it's definitely true. I think we sometimes we sensory seek is what they call it, don't like putting doing like flickering of lights is definitely sensory seeking. Or I love to listen to like music. I say like I'll say to someone I don't like noise, and then for instance I'll go to a concert or I'll like wear like my head like Beats headphones and I'll have like something blaring like you can hear me down the road, and it's like I like noises that I seek to hear, if that makes sense. I can't deal with like what you said, when people intentionally chew next to me, I don't like it. Why are you doing it? It makes me uncomfortable and it makes me feel really creepy and crawly. So I think there's particular things that I can handle really well because I chose for it. But in the case where I didn't choose to hear it, I'm not fond of it. And I think chewing is not a thing I like, or touching. I don't like to be like touched randomly or like because a lot of times I think when people socialize, they'll touch like off the bat, like you know the taps and the I don't like that. I much rather you asked, if that makes sense. Like I don't mind a good hug if I know you or if we kind of discuss that we're going to do it. But if you like go in for a bear hug and I don't know you, like normally I feel quite panicked because it's like, first of all, who are you? Second of all, why are your hands on me? So it just depends, I think. And I think like what you were saying, like it
Mhm.
depends, if that
It's
makes sense.
Yeah, I could, I'm like that as well. So I completely get that. I won't touch someone if they don't want to be touched. Oh,
Mm,
I'm the same. But another thing is similar to that. You know, if you're somewhere you don't know, maybe you're on holiday, and you don't know where you are, and like some randomer would come up to you. This did happen to me last year. I think when I was in Wales, I was trying to look for something, and then this person would come to me, and he was going so close because I like to keep personal space still
mm,
anyway, even before COVID.
mm.
I was always like to do that. So he would keep coming to closer, and he'll say, "I thought you want my help." I said, "I do, but I don't want your
But
help on my
this
face." And then he got funny about it, and he's like, "All right then." So he took offence to what I was saying, but I may come across maybe sometimes like maybe rude, but if you don't come across that way, they're not going to understand. Um,
true. Oh my God,
sometimes,
yes.
so he just ran off. I think. So, I didn't get no help, but I found out where to go anyway.
I definitely agree with you though. I think people, yeah, no, people don't get the whole boundaries. Like, I think the only thing I enjoyed about the pandemic is that people would stay really far away. And I thought, oh, this is actually how I like it to be. Because I didn't realize how close people normally are. Like, you'll be having a conversation with someone and they're like right in your face. And for me, it's like, we don't have to be that close. I can hear you from a mile away. Like, you don't have to be. And I think, as you said, like a lot of the times people just take it as though you're being rude or like you're being blunt. And most times it's like, I'm not being blunt. I'm not even trying to be rude to you. I'm protecting myself. And you being that close to me makes me uncomfortable. And I feel like I'm on fire because you're that close to me. And obviously for you, I think also when people don't think you're autistic or if people can't see that you're different, most times they literally just assume you're being rude. And I think
Yeah,
for me, because I'm like, I'm a girl, well, I'm a woman. I'm a woman and I'm black and whatever. I think a lot of times people don't make the assumption that I could have autism, if that makes sense. Like when people think of autism, they don't look for someone who looks like me. So when I am acting autistic or being myself, a lot of times people take massive offense to it. They think I'm being sassy, they think I'm being feisty. And really it's like, no, I'm just being myself. So I definitely get you in terms of like people taking things quite the wrong way. Like you'll say, I think I said to someone the other day, I was like, can you back up? And they were like, wow, like why are you being so rude? And I was like, so I didn't mean to be rude. I just meant like literally, can you back up? Like, give me some space. And they didn't take it very
yeah,
well.
yeah,
So that was
but I completely get you. And something that
mm,
I go back to school. Something really annoyed me is if I wasn't even near anyone. So say I'm talking to someone,
mm,
and they may not have the confidence to tell me to back up, even though I weren't even close. We were on this table, so basically I'm one end where my seat is, and they're basically next to me. So we can't really move. So then you got the teacher coming at me saying, whispering, and I was like, "I can't hear you. Can you speak up?" And then they're like, "Mason, that person doesn't want you to go close." And I was thinking to myself,
mm,
"I'm not close. I mean,
mm,
I'm talking from a fair distance. And if they wanted me to know that, they could have said that, and
mm,
would have been right." But it's weird. I think some people are weird how they sense things, but
mm. I
it's
agree.
it is annoying. Like I like going to the football sometimes, and I sit in the car and analyze because there's a burger van, and there's a burger van. I don't know. I don't go to the burger van, but I just watch people, and it's very interesting because like I'm thinking about personal space. They're also close to each other. But
Mm,
the thing I'm more interested about is like the hygiene, because
mm,
they will go to the burger van, they will have their burger, they will go to the ketchup stall or the mustard stall, put it on, everyone's touching it. Like
mm.
everyone's touching it, and they'll put it all on. They're putting it all on and touching the money when they give it to the person, the burger
Oh
man.
yeah, that's
And then they're
right.
eating it and they're licking their fingers afterwards.
Mm,
After they've eaten it, and I've thought to myself, surely I'm not in another world here, and that you can see all these people doing it, and I think to myself, I mean, it's nothing to do with COVID or anything. It's just personal hygiene.
that's
Um,
hygiene, yeah.
and you think to yourself, you would wash your hands. You wash your hands after you've bought your burger, and
Mm,
then, but even so, you given your burger, and then they're putting the burger on the side,
mm.
on the dirty thing. I imagine they do clean it, but I don't think they clean it very good. Uh,
Often or clean,
but
I
yeah,
feel like.
often, because they have to do it all the time. So it amazes me. It's the same with, like, when you go up escalators, people holding
Mm.
on.
Oh
Um,
yeah, they are dirty. They are so dirty.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like escalators because I fell down it when I was a kid.
Oh, I'm
Um,
sorry.
but I laugh now because everyone just moves out of the way.
Mm.
Like when I'm going down, like
No one like stopped you.
no, they moved, so I'd fall.
They moved to let you drop. They didn't like
Yeah,
intervene.
no, I was hoping for one person to stop, and then it was my fault for tripping because I had long trousers on and I didn't do them
Oh
up.
no.
But to that day, I don't like holding on anyway. I don't like holding
I
on to
get
the
it.
escalators. Um, one because they're dirty, and one because I just don't like it. And I try to balance. When you're on it and you try to balance and not fall.
Oh, it's scary. Yeah, you will fall. Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, it's one thing I don't like, but yeah, it's just the world is interesting with like how they view things, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone has different perspectives on things, and everyone has different levels of discomfort, I guess. Like
Mhm.
what I might find really icky, sticky, tricky, someone else thinks it's like a lovely day. So I guess it all depends on how who the person is and how they view things, especially even with autistic people, like we all have different tolerances, I guess. Like we're not all this, like just because we have autism doesn't mean we all have experience it the same, like you said. Like you might love, I don't know, oranges, for instance. I mean, I love oranges, that was a bad example, but let's say you love oranges, for instance. I might hate oranges, for instance. We're not all the same. So I think, yeah, we have different ways of doing things. I don't think we should be bunched up in a like one
Yeah.
because we are all
Is that
different. We
your
even different.
is that your favorite fruit? Orange.
I like oranges and I like lychee. I used to really like strawberries, but then I came to my senses and thought they actually don't have much taste. They're just really pretty. So I really like satsumas. Satsumas are great. Peelable oranges are my favorite, but lychee is really good, like really different and really good. But yeah, love a
Yeah.
good orange.
I remember when I was younger, I'd peel the orange and not take any, the white stuff
Oh
off
yeah.
on it, and then it tastes horrible. But I do love an orange. I like most fruit actually. Um,
I'm trying to think if I dislike any. I don't think I don't think I do not
hmm,
like. I kind of like fruits quite a bit.
hmm. I
Quite nice.
This last couple of days I've been having like fruit salad. Like after dinner I would have it and
That's
put
healthy.
yeah and put yogurt. I'd put yogurt on it.
Oh, nice.
Um, I like coconut yogurt. I'd have that or strawberry. Um, I like strawberry,
I like
and
strawberry too.
and I have a spoon and eat it. Like got grapes in there, strawberries in
Oh,
there.
I love grapes. Grapes are great.
Have you ever had candy floss grapes?
Yes,
Yeah,
super
yeah.
bellissima. They are so good.
They are.
They're
I
so
mean,
good.
they're rare to get though. I think.
Yeah, they are, and they're really expensive when you do get them. Like they're really
Yeah,
like once in a
yeah.
while.
I don't know what I like better though. Like you got the blackcurrant grapes and then you've got the
Mm.
apple. I kind of like them 50-50, I
Kind of
think.
like them both. Yeah, I kind of like. I don't think I have like a one that I'm like, oh, need these in my life. I like both of them quite evenly. Like sometimes they have like a mixed batch, and I don't really mind the mixed batch too much because I like both of them as long as they're seedless. I don't like seeds and grapes. That I don't like too much. But if they're seedless, then I'm like, okay, good. I'm gonna eat the grapes. I don't mind them.
That's the annoying thing about having cherries because when you eat
Oh
them, you have to
yeah.
spit the seed out or put the thing
Yes.
in the middle of it.
I would love a seedless cherry because I like cherries a lot. I just don't like the seed. So I don't know if they're gonna like genetically modify it, but yeah, it'd be great to not have the seeds in them because they're really
Yeah,
big,
yeah,
like they're big seeds.
they are. And then sometimes it hurts when you chew
Yeah,
it. Um,
like you bite into it. Yeah, it actually
yeah,
does hurt as I think of it.
yeah. I like. What about pear? Do you like a pear?
Yeah, I do like pears as long as it's not too soft. So I'm really weird with like textures with food. Like I don't like things to be soft. Like if it's really soft, I'm not gonna eat it. Like if the spaghetti is like even like an inch too soft, I can't eat it. So that's the same with pears and apples and grapes and all fruits actually. I love a good pear when it's like crunchy and nice and green. But also I like the ones that are like kind of greeny ready. Like there's like those ones that are like kind of
Yeah,
both. I don't mind those. As long as it's crunchy, I don't mind.
yeah. I get that. I like apples. But I prefer them cut up than eating them on
Oh,
their
me
own.
too. I much prefer to like have them sliced and diced and then
Yeah,
I'll just eat them.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with
Um,
that.
Raspberries. Raspberries.
I do like raspberries, but I think it's like a hit and miss. Like sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, nice. And then other times I'm like, no. Like it just depends like what day I'm eating them. Because sometimes I'm loving that tanginess and other times my mouth rejects them. So it just depends on my mood, I think. And depends what my mouth's feeling like that day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What about bananas?
I like bananas, particularly in my smoothies because banana smoothies are great. I like bananas. Bananas are great. You can't go wrong with them unless they're like really bruised and battered. And if they are
Yeah,
bruised and battered, you can banana bread or like a smoothie, but not to eat because I don't like the
yeah.
texture.
If they're too bruised or black,
Yeah,
we just leave them.
I leave them. I can't. The texture is not for me.
I don't like the skin, so I always take it off, and then I feel
Oh,
like
like
took it all off, and there's still some there.
yeah, the remnants are always there for some reason. You can't get them off. The little like yeah, you can't get them off.
Yeah, I think we've gone through all the fruit.
Yeah, we really have. We've been through a lot of fruit.
Yeah, yeah. I guess part of autism, isn't it? Like, um, fruit. Um, autism is like a fruit, I guess.
Mm,
Um, um,
different types, different shapes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, last couple of things, Vanessa. What? Why did you start wanting to talk about autism and kind of share awareness in your story, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was because I didn't really see people who looked like me. I think that was what it started off as because I think at first I thought I want to see someone who looks like me, sounds like me, is fundamentally like me, but just talking about their experience. And I think because I didn't have that, I was like, oh, it's not like to say a gap in the market, but I just wanted to speak a little bit of my own. And also I was tired of people asking me all the time if I was autistic or not. So I thought, well, if I make an Instagram that says Vanessa May is autistic, you'll kind of get the gist and you'll leave me alone. And I think I also wanted to have a sense of community, like speak to other people like myself, because most people I know are neurotypical. So I don't really get time or like have a chance to talk to people who are autistic. And I think I do gain a lot from talking to people who are autistic or just neurodiverse people in general, because like we'll talk about things and we'll have like, common interest or when I'm having a bad day, like they'll understand why I'm having a bad day. They don't just think I'm being like petty or messy, if that makes sense. So I guess one, it was awareness. Two, was to show like people like of my kind, if that makes sense, or like just, being a woman, getting late diagnosed, being black because I am black, and also just expressing that just because I have a disability doesn't mean I'm not amazing. Because if you ask me, having a disability and being able to like carry it the way that we do makes us so much more phenomenal. Not in like a cheesy way, but generally speaking, like I always say to like neurotypical people, I'm like, you think you're better than me, but you're really not. Not in a bad way, but it's like we've had to like come through all these challenges to get to this place of like doing well for ourselves. I think that's what it is. Yeah. And also showing that we can have like achievements and like we do really well in life, because people, I think you said before, like people would say when people thought about autism, they think like really stupid people. And I just want to keep proving that we're really quite intelligent and we do well in school and we do go to the best universities and we do amazing things. And also, if you aren't getting best grades, etc., it's still fine. Like it's a spectrum. Like there's so many different kinds of us. And I thought I just wanted to show that this is my kind. Like I'm nerdy, I'm goofy, but I'm also pretty cool. I mean, I think I'm cool, but yeah, just showing
Yeah,
that there's a bit of a difference, if that makes sense.
yeah. You are cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So are you.
Thank you. Uh, yeah, yeah, but I completely agree. There's so many different ranges of autism, and
Absolutely.
there's certain, I think, words that we need to talk about, like use more because of autism, and not like the old words like we spoke about like earlier,
Yeah.
like high functioning and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I think everyone wants support needs now,
Yeah,
which is important.
it is.
And like with Asperger's, like no one really uses it anymore.
Mm,
Um,
it's a good time.
yeah, and it's like outdated, I think.
Yeah, it's outdated.
Yeah,
Way outdated.
and it's unfortunate because some people like on Instagram feel like it's good to use, but there are reasons why people don't use it. Not because it's
Mm,
outdated, but where it came from in the first place.
exactly. Where it
Um,
originated from is the reason why
and
I use it. Yeah.
yeah, and some people online um who are quite have a good amount of people who see their content, they
Mm,
they have it and they want to kind of spread awareness to use that word. So it's unfortunate, but I guess people do what they
feel it's
want,
best for them. Yeah.
what's best for them. But if we educate people and say what's probably the best word to use, is okay. Not that you can't use Asperger's, but maybe just advise them to use
Why? Like the context. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. Giving
yeah,
people a bit more of an understanding. Yeah,
yeah,
that's what it's about, isn't it?
yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, I completely agree with everything you said as well. Lastly, though, Vanessa, is there any advice that you'd give to maybe other people that maybe got are in the process of getting diagnosed, or maybe get diagnosed at a similar age to when you was diagnosed or anything?
Yeah, I think I definitely tell them that like a good support system is so necessary. Like have people in your corner who actually like care and love you kind of thing. Because I think a lot of times I think being autistic, I learned that because I had such bad social cues, it was really easy for people to take advantage of me. So I think just telling them like having like a really good support system, whether it's your mum, dad, sister, cousin, brother, whoever it is, just having someone who's like there for you and you know they completely are, and just having people who validate your experience as well. Because I think when I did get diagnosed, luckily for me, like my parents and my sister were really cool about it. So it's kind of like it didn't feel like there was any difference. It was kind of like, oh yeah, you're autistic, great, perfect, and we just moved along with it. So I think having people there for you. And I also had like I had a really good friend at the time, one of my best friends at the time. She was really supportive of me and she made sure that I always knew that there was nothing wrong with me. So just having people in your corner is definitely really important. But also I'd say like do your own research, like educate yourself on what autism is for you, and also educate yourself on like maybe the differences that you might be having. Because I think sometimes when you get the diagnosis that it's like it opens a completely different world. Like you're like, oh, there's so many new things, and you start to learn that, oh my god, all of my experiences are actually because I'm autistic. So kind of opening your mind to like different horizons, and also being kind to yourself, because in as much as we most times when you get diagnosed you want to get that diagnosis, be kind to yourself in terms of like the differences that might take place after you do find out. Because when you do find out as late as I did, your whole world changes because you've been thinking you were neurotypical the whole entire time. And then you find out, oh, no, actually, I'm neurodiverse. So, like, be kind to yourself, give yourself grace. Like, watch your favorite movie, eat some ice cream, do something you like. I think it's really important. And also, like, remember that you're amazing. Like, being autistic is really cool. I'm sorry, not to brag. I think it's amazing. So, I think take it like a badge of honor, is what I'd say. Um, and it's a process anyways. I think I'm 24 now, going to be 25. I've had autism, or obviously I've been autistic my whole life, but I've only known about it for the last 5 years. So kind of, I know it takes time to get to a point where you think you're like superior, amazing, but once you get there, it's going to be great. Just have the right people in your corner and make sure to be nice to yourself.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say. Yeah.
I love that, and I love what you
it
say. Yeah, being autistic is amazing. It's
is.
just wow. It's really awesome. And I
Yeah.
think
It has its hardships, but it's still, I like that
yeah,
for me, if that makes
yeah,
sense.
it's a good way to think of it, like how
Yeah.
it being a good thing rather than not a good thing.
And bad.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But really good, Vanessa. It's been awesome speaking to you.
Nice
Um,
speaking to you.
I hope I hope we'll be able to speak again. We can keep in contact on Instagram and stuff. Um,
Of course. Yeah.
and to anyone listening, we hope you maybe take something out of the episode.
Yes.
If you're not diagnosed yet, or if you have autism, I hope you just enjoy it and maybe take something from it and think of it as a really good thing. Um,
Yeah.
and
Great thing.
lastly, eat fruit.
Yes. Honestly, have a satsuma today. It's a great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, fruit's awesome. But yeah, to anyone watching, we hope you enjoyed this week's episode. See you next week, for next week's episode, which I don't know what's going to be, but we'll soon
No
see. But yeah, thank you again, Vanessa. I hope you have a nice.
problem. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.